You're staring at your phone, not looking for anything, just scrolling. You've checked every app twice. You put it down, pick it up again. You're bored, deeply, almost painfully bored. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a thought surfaces. What did people even do before all of this? For 99% of human history, there was no screen to reach for, no playlist to shuffle, no series to binge. There was a fire. There was dark. There was the sound of wind in trees you didn't have a name for. And there was boredom, the exact same hollow, restless feeling you have right now. Boredom is not modern. It is ancient, possibly as old as conscious thought itself. Psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire has studied boredom extensively and argues that it is not the absence of stimulation. It is the craving for more meaningful stimulation than what is available. That craving didn't start with smartphones. It started with us, with our enormous, relentlessly active brains sitting around a camp waiting for something to happen. And something remarkable came out of that waiting. Archaeologist Francesco at the University of Bordeaux spent years studying artifacts found in Blombos Cave in South Africa, dated to roughly 75,000 years ago. What he found were pieces of ochre, a reddish-brown mineral, deliberately engraved with geometric patterns. Crosshatches, lines, repeated marks that served no survival purpose whatsoever. They were decorative. They were creative. They were, in the most honest interpretation possible, something a bored human made because their mind needed something to do. You have done the same thing. In every meeting you've ever doodled through. The Blombos engravings are considered among the earliest evidence of symbolic thinking in our species. And they didn't come from genius. They came from restlessness, from a hand that needed to move and a mind that needed to make meaning out of nothing. Now some of you are thinking, maybe those marks were ritual. Maybe they were sacred. Maybe they weren't boredom at all. Maybe. But consider this. Ritual and play and boredom are not opposites. They are cousins. When hunter-gatherer groups didn't have food to chase or predators to flee, they talked. They sang. They told stories. They invented. They prayed. All of these things, every single one, can emerge from the same state of unoccupied time that you call boredom. Anthropologist Kim Sterelny at Australian National University argues that the cognitive surplus created by periods of rest and inactivity was likely one of the most important engines of cultural evolution in early humans. When there was nothing to do, the brain didn't shut down. It wandered. And wandering minds invent things. Consider music. The oldest known musical instrument is a flute carved from a vulture bone, found in the Hohle Fels Cave in Germany, dated to around 40,000 years ago by archaeologist Nicholas Conard and his team at the University of Tübingen. Someone, cold, sheltered, with no task in front of them, picked up a bone and made holes in it. Then they blew into it. And somewhere in the dark of that cave, music entered human history. Not from necessity, from time, from boredom transformed into curiosity. The same impulse likely drove early cave paintings, the ones at Lascaux in France, 17,000 years old, the ones at Chauvet, even older. These were not quick survival notes. They were elaborate, layered, carefully composed images made over hours, possibly days. Someone with time on their hands decided to fill a wall with the world they saw outside, and in doing so, they created the oldest art galleries on Earth. Now some of you are thinking, they probably had specific reasons. Hunting rituals, coming-of-age ceremonies, spiritual practices, almost certainly. But none of that changes the underlying condition that made it possible, Unstructured time. The space between survival tasks where the mind has room to wander, experiment, and make something for no reason except that making felt better than not making. Boredom, it turns out, is cognitively necessary. Neuroscientist Mary Helen Immordino-Yang at the University of Southern California has shown through brain imaging studies that the default mode network, the set of brain regions that activates when we are not focused on any external task, is deeply connected to self-reflection, moral reasoning, creativity, and the ability to imagine the future. This network fires up precisely when you're bored, daydreaming, or doing nothing. Your ancestors didn't know that term, but they lived it. Every afternoon in camp, every evening after the fire was built and the meal was finished, and there was nothing left to do. Their brains wandered. Their brains created. Their brains made them human in ways that hunting alone never could. Ancient Greeks had a word for this kind of idle time. Schola. It is the direct root of our word school, because for them, free time was not wasted time. It was the condition necessary for thought, for philosophy, for everything they considered most distinctly human. Aristotle wrote that schola was the foundation of a good life, not leisure as escape, leisure as the space where the self becomes fully itself. The problem is, we have forgotten that. We have filled every gap, every pause, every moment of potential emptiness has been colonized by content, notification, stimulation. We have declared war on boredom, and in doing so, we may have declared war on something we cannot afford to lose. Because here is what the research shows. Studies by psychologist Sandy Mann and her colleague Rebecca Cadman found that people who were deliberately bored before a creative task, made to copy numbers from a phone book for 20 minutes, performed significantly better on creative tests than those who had not been bored. Boredom, deliberately imposed, increased creativity. Your ancient ancestor, sitting by the fire with nothing to do, was not wasting time. They were charging something. The same way, sleep is not the absence of life, but the condition life requires to continue. And you, scrolling again, are trying to escape precisely the state that might make you most yourself. There is a version of you that exists on the other side of boredom. The version that doesn't reach for the phone, that sits with the discomfort, that lets the mind wander the way it was designed to wander. That picks up the bone and makes holes in it. That puts marks on a wall. That hums something new into existence. That version of you is very old. It has been waiting 75,000 years. It is patient. It has nothing but time, and everything begins there.